What is blended rate? I love this question. This is a fantastic question. So blended rate is a calculation that we do when we are looking at basically what the total amount of money that you're paying for interest is. So let me give you a quick example, and this is gonna be an easy math for you. Let's say you owe $100,000 at a rate of 5% on a first mortgage, and then you want to take out another $100,000 on a second mortgage. That second mortgage, you take out $100,000 at a rate of 10%. What would your blended rate be on that in that situation, right? What you would do is you would look at $100,000, 5%, $100,000, 10%. What's the total amount in interest that you're paying on that $200,000 loan balance that you have? The answer is 7.5%. That's a very, very straightforward answer with very round numbers. It's very easy to calculate. It gets a little bit more complicated when you're looking at a first loan balance of $68,000 at 2.69% and a potential second loan balance of $174,000 at 11.2% or at 9.6%. Like, the math gets a little bit more tricky. The reason that we look at this stuff is when you're looking at doing a cash out refinance or a HELOC, there's a very specific calculation that we can do that will determine how we structure this loan to save you the most money. For example, if you owe $500,000 at 2.5% and you need to borrow $50,000 more for a home improvement project or whatever you need the money for, it's going to probably make a lot more sense to take a second mortgage for that $50,000, even if the rate is 12%, right? And the reason is because you owe so much money at a low rate that restructuring that $500,000 debt at a higher than higher than a 2.5% rate is probably going to cost you money, even though that little bit of money that you're borrowing is at such a high rate. Like, even if it's 12%, chances are taking 50 at 12% and keeping your 500 at 2.5 is going to save you money rather than taking 550 at 6%. So there's a calculator that we use called a blended rate calculator that will help us determine like what the best way to structure it is. And I think this is something that a lot of consumers, a lot of homeowners overlook when they're looking at taking out a HELOC or a second mortgage. They just know those rates are higher, but they don't really take into account the balances of the loans that they're keeping or paying off. So I've been able to educate people about this and save them a lot of money where they come in, asking for a HELOC because they owe $50,000 and it's at 3% and they need to take out 300 and they say, I want a HELOC. That's the right thing to do. I read on social media, I need to get a HELOC. And we actually come in and show them these numbers and say, hey, it actually makes more sense for you to take 350 at 6% than it does for you to take 300 at 9 and leave your, even though it feels great to have a 3% first mortgage, ultimately the blended rate is what matters. And that's what's going to either cost you or save you money. So, we've been able to come in and sort of set the record straight with some of these things with some of our customers, and put them in the best position with that cash out that is possible with their situation.